A very good morning, everyone. Welcome back for the last day workshop, and let us start our workshop with prayer.
మీరు కాల్ చేస్తున్న వ్యక్తి ఏ కాల్ స్వీకరించడం లేదు. దయచేసి కొంత సమయం తర్వాత ప్రయత్నించండి.
Today, the major focus is on Oracle Finance and tools and techniques available to implement Oracle ERP projects. Now, I hand over this session to resource person S. Anand Prasad Garu. Sir, please.
Hello. Can you all go on mute, please? There is some disturbance. Somebody is on mute. Okay, thank you. So, nice to get in touch with you all again. Today we'll focus on ERP financials and we'll understand how it fits in entire Oracle ERP and couple of business process flows. And we'll take an example of one module which I picked up for you, which is easy to understand. And I will explain you about that module. And unfortunately, I don't have any demo instance with me, so I could not demo anything. But I have a demo video, which is already available on YouTube. And I have a training material with which you can learn that module. So, and also I'll give you more time today and the question and answer so that you can ask a lot of questions related to Oracle ERP, financials and whatever. So let me not waste time and let's get into the topic. Give me a minute, I'll pull up my presentation. Hello, please go on mute, please. Yeah. Okay. So today is all about Oracle Financials. Oracle Financial is one of the most important pillar in ERP, especially in Oracle, because Oracle Financials is very famous. As I told you, SAP and Oracle are major players in this ERP industry. SAP is very much liked for their manufacturing capabilities, manufacturing module capabilities, and Oracle is very much known and widely used for these financial capabilities. So today's agenda will be, we'll just understand what are the fusion pillars. We call each of these as pillars. We'll understand financial modules and its flow. We'll cover a couple of cycles called procure to pay cycle and order to cash cycle. Then we'll see how the data is shared between these modules. I will give a couple of examples how it is shared. And then we'll get on to a very beautiful module and which is easy to understand, that is Oracle expenses. And I have a just 2-3 minute video about Oracle expenses and question and answer section. So let us start with Oracle Fusion pillars. We call this as pillars. Earlier we used to call it as modules. Now we call it as pillars. Each pillar is different. Each pillar can be implemented separately, and any of combination of pillars also can be implemented. So Oracle Fusion Financial Management. Earlier it was just financial modules. Now it is more financial management where there is intelligent reporting and dashboards, key process integrators, indicators. All those things are coming. So you not only maintain financial data, you can make a lot of decision. Management can take a lot of decision. That's why most of these things are called Oracle Financial Management, Oracle Fusion, Human Capital Management, Supply Chain Management, like this. So majorly we have Oracle Fusion Financial Management, Oracle Human Capital Management, we'll call it as HRMS or HCM. Oracle Supply Chain Management, it's called SCM. Oracle Project Portfolio Management, Oracle Fusion Procurement, Oracle CRM. So these are all the major pillars we have. Under each pillar, we have different modules. For example, if you take Oracle Fusion Financial Management, we have General Ledger, Payables, Assets, Payments and Collections, Receivables, Cash Management, and Expense Management. So all these things are handled separately in different modules. The data is segregated internally. Though you find one system across the organization, if you implement ERP or SAP, internally at the database level, the data is segregated. We segregate based on some schemas. So internally it is segregated, and the data flows between each of these modules. And a lot of objects which are commonly used across the modules are shared. That's why we call as common modules. So this is a common module which is shared across other modules. So these are all the major pillars. These SAP and Oracle are adding more and more to this. Now some new modules are also coming. For example, Oracle Reconciliation Cloud, Oracle EPM, Enterprise Process Management. All these things are coming up. They are doing a lot of research and adding a lot of things to these pillars, which can be implemented separately or which can be implemented with a combination of other pillars. So let us start with Oracle Financials. Financials are majorly categorized within these modules: assets, payables, cash management, receivables, advance collections, tax, expenses. All this data, the arrows which you see, all these is a data flow. This is how the data flows. All the data gets into subledger accounting and finally the general ledger. General ledger is like an ocean. All rivers in India finally, merge with the ocean. So general ledger is the key module in Oracle Financials, where all the accounting data gets into general ledger, and that's where the month end, year end, all these things, close things happen. And from general ledger, management uses some reports like trail balance, balance sheet, and all those reports can be generated from the general ledger. So this is the most decision-making ledger, decision-making module, which management have to take any financial decisions or project decisions. So we'll start with assets. Okay, assets module. What it does is mostly the fixed assets are stored in this module. Stored in the sense the data is stored, not the asset. Okay, so for example, your college has a building, your college has a land, your college has a furniture, your college has laptops. You have a lot of assets. So you enter all those assets in this system. When you enter all these assets into your system, all these assets either depreciate or appreciate. For example, a land appreciates, a laptop depreciates. Okay, so all that depreciation can be calculated in Oracle Fusion Assets. So assets module is primarily takes care of all the assets, how they maintain it and how they calculate the depreciation and a lot of things. For example, you sell your one of the asset, let us say a couple of laptops you sold. So those assets will be retired. Those should not be in the system. You will get back some amount when you sell it. So that will be recorded and those assets will be retired. Such things happen in fixed assets. Next comes payables. When you sell laptops, when you sell something, when you sell any products or when you purchase something, when you pay something, when money goes out of the system, that is when payables comes into picture. Like you have a showroom, manufacturing plant where you purchase a lot of raw material from different vendors. You pay them. At the end of the day, when you receive the material, you pay them. That is where the payables module comes into picture. For example, your college purchases some 100 laptops. So what you do, you have to pay them. Once you receive the goods, you have to pay them. So that happens through payables module. Again, payables module and asset module, all these things are linked internally. Like depending on the money flow. If something you have to pay to purchase an asset, you use payable and then purchase that asset. When expenses, we'll come to that later. We'll discuss it in detail. Next one is called cash management. Cash management is mostly used for reconciliation. It closely works with the bank balance. Whenever you pay or you receive money in the organization, you don't do it directly. I mean, you don't pay cash, or this organization don't pay cash. There is no cash counter where the supplier comes and you give a cash. Most of this happen through banks and bank accounts. So that is when this cash management module becomes very important. For example, you have received 100 laptops and the supplier has given you an invoice, say that you need to pay for these 100 laptops. So what you will do, you will create that guy will send a invoice. You will enter that invoice in payables. Then you will process it. When you process it, maybe it goes to your head of the department. He will check whether all has received, all the laptops received. He will check with you whether everything is fine. Then he will approve it. Then it goes to the principal. Principal will again do a second check and he approves it. Then finally it goes to the finance department. The finance department are the ones who release the funds. They don't pay directly, so they inform the bank. They will say from this account they issue it can be electronic transfer, it can be a check, or it can be anything. So they tell the bank to release the funds. So what they do, from your bank account, the money goes out to the supplier. He will receive the money from your bank account. So when bank pays from your bank account, that information has to flow back into your ERP. Bank paid, the money has gone from your account. That balance you have to update in your cash management. That is what this cash management does. So those balances, all those things, they interacts with bank more, and it deals with more with the cash and the bank. There is one more thing called receivables. Receivables is when you receive money. In a manufacturing unit, they manufacture goods. Finally, they use inventory, they manufacture it, and finally those become a finished product. For example, Honda car is a finished product. So sales guys book orders. When they book orders, they receive money. They pay some advance, they take some car loan, and money will be received. Once the money comes into the system, that is when this receivable module is used. You will receive the money and you will collect it, and it again, the finance department handles it, and that gets into the general ledger finally. Whether it is receivable or payable, finally it has to go to the general ledger. Another one is called advanced collections. So what we do, a lot of organizations do credit business as well, in the sense that the suppliers or the customers, they don't pay everything at once. The customers, they don't pay everything at once. They come, they pay part by part. Let us say LIC insurance. LIC insurance, you take a policy, but you will keep on paying the premium over a period of time. Let us say yearly, it could be yearly payment, or it could be quarterly payment, or it could be a monthly payment, and you would keep paying that for a period of 5 years, let us say. So that each premium, entire premium, customer will not pay. He will pay it in bits and pieces. So advanced collections then comes into the picture. For example, LIC uses advanced collection. They keep checking who has to pay, from where they have to get money, and how much premiums are pending, why this customer is not paying. Let us send him a letter saying that your premium is due, why you are not paying, do you have any problem, have you discontinued it, will you be able to pay? If not this quarter, will you be able to pay next quarter? We'll waive off the late fee, and all those things happen in advanced collections. So we have understood assets, payables, receivables, and advanced collections. In the entire money receivable or money payables, tax is involved. It could be sales tax, it could be any tax. Now it's all GST. So all that is configured in tax module. So whenever you receive or you pay, this tax comes into picture. So that is why tax module is used. In earlier releases, we didn't have this subledger accounting. This big one, it was not having. It was all the assets, payable, cash management, receivable, advance collections, expenses, all this data used to directly flow into general ledger. General ledger is something which is an ocean. It has all the transactions, and from the journal, it's like a book. In normal accounting terms, it's called a book. You have a lot of books, cash book, day book. The people, accounting guys, maintain a lot of books. So all those are books. So when the cash entries gets into general ledger, they do reconciliation. At some point of time, they'll reconcile back whether what we have received is what we are supposed to receive, or what you have paid is the entire thing we have paid, or something is left. Is there any difference, or any data entry mistake has happened, or it can be anything. So during the month end, what used to happen is that there could be some differences. For example, your college month end close they are doing, and they found 10,000 rupees difference. They are not understanding why there is a 10,000 rupees difference. So they will trail back. They will trail back and understand why there is a difference. Has somebody not entered an invoice, or somebody has paid, we have not received it, or we misplaced the check, we didn't present it in the bank, what has happened? So we'll trail back, and that trailing back and checking back has become a very difficult job for accountants. So that is when they came up with a new module called subledger accounting. Subledger accounting, what it does is, it directly doesn't put the data into general ledger. What it does is, intermediately you can define lot of rules in subledger accounting, and you can see at the time of actually transferring the data to general ledger, you can see whether all the account entries are correct, and as per the policy and everything is correct, then you transfer it to general ledger. That way you can eliminate the confusion, whatever accounting department, finance department, whatever the confusion they faced at the month end can be controlled using subledger accounting. So that's how this model picked up, and it is widely used, and more features are getting added to this. So this is all about Oracle Financials. Those are all the modules that are available in Oracle Financials. Whether you take SAP, you take any other ERP, these are the modules. Either you pay, you maintain asset, or you advance collection, expenses, tax. These are the only things. These are what general business do, everybody do. So these are all the modules. In earlier days, what used to happen is that organization used to implement only financials, or only HR, or only supply chain. So they had some systems in other ERP or a custom ERP, some systems in some modules in Oracle ERP, some modules in something else. So it had become a challenge. That is when they realized that some research has happened. It's not research, these are all normal things which were happening since very long time. So these products thought that we have to implement the modules in a business process that is more advantageous. So directly implementing Oracle Financials is fine, but implementing it in a business flow gives more value. So that's what we will learn in the next slide. One of the processes is Oracle procure to pay process. So now I have given an example of your college. Your college wants some 100 laptops. What you do, your requisition department, purchasing department, what they do, they'll ask for quotations. They will put notice to all the vendors, and Dell guy gives a quotation, Lenovo guy gives a quotation, and Hewlett Packard gives a quotation. Everybody gives a quotation, and everybody have their own terms and conditions, and everybody has their own offers. Somebody offers a discount, somebody gives something free, somebody gives a long-term maintenance contract if you take. So a lot of such things they provide. Based on the terms and condition, your budget, your feasibility, and your decision, you pick a vendor. You will say, I found Dell good. His offers are good. His laptops are good. His terms and conditions are good. You may not like one or two conditions. That's fine. But you go with a better laptop. You found that Dell is a stronger one. When students use it, it will be good. So you choose a vendor. When you make a decision, that is when you ask him to supply. The request for quotation is the one which all these give Dell and all these guys. After the decision is made, you place an order. You place an order to Dell. That guy will take some time, and he will deliver the goods at your location in your college premises. He will deliver it. Because this is your college, what happens? All these I don't know how big is your college and what are the processes you have. What they do is they directly ship it to your computer lab, and you start opening the boxes, and you start installing it. But ideally, in a bigger organizations, that's what not happens. All those 100 computers will be delivered to stores. The stores, they receive it. When they receive it, they have to give a receive note and a gate pass. They have to issue a gate pass. They have to issue a gate pass, and that then only that guy can come in, and this stores guy receive it, and they stock it, and then they deliver it to the department. They don't directly say that do it, go to the department and install it. They don't do it. So they receive it. There is a process around it. Once they receive it, then slowly they will deliver it to the department, either on the same day or by the same vendor or any other process. But they have a process around it. Once they receive it, the payment has been made. When the payment is made, then payables model come into picture. So here what happens, when you are paying, you will check whether all the 100 laptops are fine, it's working fine, whatever you have mentioned are there in it. For example, you have agreed for free MS Office software or Windows operating system Pro edition, or let us say you asked for mouse and some mouse pads, some screen guards, all those things have come. You will check that. When you check it, that is when this payables department and inventory department, they talk together. The purchasing and inventory department, all these things purchased it. You match what is your order, whether all the items in the order have come in or not. If there is any damage, you have to reject it, right? So a laptop is not working, so you have to reject it, and you have to accept 99 and you have to reject 1. So all these things happen before you actually pay. So that is where you have something called PO matching. PO matching is like your, when you go to a grocery store, your supermarket, you pick up things, and you come to the cash counter, he will bill it, and you will check it whether all the items have been come, or he has billed extra, or anything is damaged or anything. So same thing the organization also does. That is when the PO matching comes into picture. PO matching is a very big concept here. So there is a 2-way matching, 3-way matching, 4-way matching, all these kind of matchings are there. That's a different subject altogether. So this is all about Oracle procure to pay process. Here, what is happening? The payment is happening, and finally, once the payment is made, the data again goes back to the cash management. The cash management will actually tell the bank to release the funds to the supplier. Then the data gets into, once that is done, the bank will inform back saying that, we have paid, you update your balances in your system. So that's what we do in cash management. Once that is done, all those accounting entries will get into subledger and finally into a general ledger. So this is called procure to pay process. So this is a major cycle in lot of organizations with which they implement modules. So here what is happening, they are not implementing all the modules. They are implementing a process flow and the modules that are falling in this process flow. For example, payables, general ledger, purchasing, inventory, all these things are implemented in a flow. So yesterday when I told phased rollout can be process wise as well, business process flow wise as well, because you are implementing based on the process. Next comes, now here what happens, supplier and supplier bank is involved. You have a supplier, the Delaware is a supplier, he has supplied 100 laptops to you, so he becomes a supplier. He has a bank account. So what we do, that supplier also will not take cash. He will say, this is the account and you put money in this. So what you do, from your bank account, you are transferring money to his bank account. You are transferring the money. So the supplier bank comes into picture. So what are the modules involved in this flow? You have Oracle purchasing, where requisition is raised. Oracle purchasing used for quotations, RFQ process it's called, request for quotation process. You have receiving quotation, you receive a lot of quotations from all the vendors. Then you do quotation analysis. You will pick a best quotation as per your business needs and decisions. So Oracle purchasing also used to place an order. So Oracle purchasing is one of the most important module here in this process flow. We have Oracle inventory because you're receiving items. Like organizations don't directly receive the items, they stock it in their inventory department receives it. That is when Oracle inventory comes into picture. So Oracle inventory is a separate module, which is a common module used across. Now you create an invoice, supplier sends you an invoice. You said 100 laptops, items, 100 items, these are the items, and he will send an invoice. That invoice you will enter in your system in Oracle Payables, and against that invoice you generate a receipt and you pay it. So that is why Oracle Payables comes into picture. Lastly, general ledger. SL is also there and cash management is also there. It doesn't involve directly. It is behind the scenes. That is why I have not mentioned anything here. General ledger. Finally, all these transactions through subledger gets transferred into general ledger. That is when your balances get hit. The trial balance gets hit, and your all the balances that show up on the balance sheet gets hit. For example, that is when your boss, your CFO can see under the expenses category 100 laptops money. He will find it there only when you transfer it to GL. Till then he will not find it. He will be finding it only till payables. When he runs the balance sheet, then that is when under the expenses he will find this 100 laptops amount there. So this is all about procure to pay process. So in ERP world, in any interview you go, first thing they will ask you is, do you know any of the business flows? Can you explain me one of the business flows and what are the modules used and how it is used? So this is the most important questions, and we also keep interviewing a lot of people, and we put these questions. That is why I have covered all this. Now another process flow, business flow, is called order to cash. Again, this is another important interview question which we ask. Do you know Oracle order to cash cycle? So this is one of the most important questions we ask. That's why I'm covering this as well. So in Oracle order to cash, what happens? You are on the other side of the table. You are the supplier. Okay. Honda car, let us take an example. The sales guys, what they do, they pitch into the market and they book the orders. We receive the order from a customer and they book the order. When they book the order, it is order for us, and we need to enter into the system. That is when the order processing starts. Once we book the order, the fulfillment team, what it does, it processes the order. What it does, it checks the inventory. They will see whether Honda car is something, a small example. He will just make a call and he will say whether car is available or not. But in bigger organizations, that's not the case. You book an order and the inventory teams will be informed. And hello, can you please go on mute, please? Can you please go on mute, please? Okay. So the order will be visible to the inventory department. The inventory department checks whether everything is fine. Do they have a finished product, or they have to manufacture it for the customer? So based on that, they will pack the items. That is called pick release, pack items, and then ship confirm. Once the finished goods comes out of the inventory, that is called ship confirm. Distribution team, what does it do? It's a logistic team. For example, you order some cell phone you put an order on Amazon, cell phone, that guy sends, all these things happen. He books an order, you do it from your mobile, and it goes to their department, and they check it, they find a stockist who has that model, who has that thing. They send an internal order to that guy. That guy ships and confirms, and these guys will be either directly ship it or they have a third party. For example, Blue Dot Couriers. Blue Dot Courier might ship that order for you at your home. So distribution team, what does it do? It delivers the product to you at your doorstep. Then in your mobile case, what happens is that you either directly pay the credit card, you use a credit card and you pay it, and the phone comes to your house. But in regular organizations, what happens is that this is a continuous process. Sales order, booking the orders, releasing the items, continuous process. So it doesn't happen so easily. Accounting team comes into picture when they have to pay. They will again check the invoice and everything. They will create an invoice and then receive the payment for the whole account. Like they will create an invoice, generate an invoice, and they will receive the payment. Okay, so this is all about order to cash. This is one of the most important cycle that everybody questions. If you say I know Oracle ERP or SAP, first question they ask is what are the modules you know, and the next which business flow you know, you explain me. So what are the modules that fall under order to cash? Under order to cash, the customer is the main player here. The customer is the main player and internal bank, because you are receiving money to your account, internal bank comes into picture. So the customer will not pay directly to you. He will transfer it, or he will pay some advance in cash. Let us say in some organizations, some 10,000 rupees cash he will pay in the cash counter in the Honda showroom. That guy will deposit that in your internal bank. So what are the modules that come under O2C business flow? Oracle order management, because customer orders, entering the order, booking the order, all those things happen in Oracle order management. Oracle inventory, because you are shipping the things, you are checking the finished good and you are releasing the item from the inventory. Oracle inventory comes into the picture. Oracle order management also manages the shipping the product and receivables, customer invoice. You're raising an invoice to the customer, and against that invoice, customer pays. So that is when Oracle receivables is used. And finally, Oracle general ledger. In between there is cash management and sub-ledger accounting. I have not highlighted those. Those things happen at the back end. Oracle transfer general ledger, that is when you receive the money and all these things are fine, you will transfer it to the general ledger. When you transfer to a general ledger, that is only when your top management can see that receivable. Like under receivables, under the revenue, he can see this amount. I have sold 100 laptops, so this is the revenue of those 100 laptops. So that's how these flows act in the organization, and different modules are used in those business flows. So I was telling you that some modules are shared. For example, in our previous slides, Oracle inventory information is shared, because your stock exists in Oracle inventory. It is a shared module. It is used in both ways. Like that, we have banks and branches. This information is also shared. I will tell you how. We have suppliers, we have customers. You have bank accounts, they do have bank accounts. Everybody are doing business in Kurnool. So everybody has accounts in one of the banks and one of the branches. So they do have a bank branch and account, you do have a bank branch account. So it could be the same bank. So banks and branches are shared across all these modules. We need not enter bank and branch information again and again. So we will enter bank and branches at one place, and that will be available for all the modules. Like that, bank accounts are entered are created in cash management, and those accounts will be used across all the modules. So when you pay it, you pay from that bank account. When you receive it, you receive to the bank account. When you run a payroll, when you pay salaries, that is when this money goes out of your account. And treasury, when you receive something, and when you any amount you have, that also happens to the account. So all in while this bank accounts gets hit, but the information of banks and branches sits in trading community architecture. It is a separate architecture that we have. All these customer information, supplier information, all these things sit in TCA, trading community architecture, because trading, it's not a one-time deal. In the organizations, it's not a one-time deal. It keeps happening day in, day out. So it is not a one-time activity. That's why we call it as trading community. So the same guy, you can order a few more laptops, right? Same guys can supply you something else. So this, we call it as trading community. So that is why all that information is stored in trading community architecture. For example, I will give you how to understand this trading community architecture, giving an Airtel example. These mobile providers, what they do, you take a mobile connection. He will take some details. When you go to a showroom, or you go to some other place and take a connection, they will ask a lot of information. You will fill that information, and they will also ask, how did you come to know about Airtel? You will write saying that my friend told me that it's good connection. So that information also they will enter. They don't keep quiet there. They will enter into your system, in the system. Okay. Even if sometimes when you say Lata Rani madam has referred me, they will enter that information also in their system, and they will create a relationship. How does Mr. Anant know Lata Rani madam? They will create a relationship there, saying that I said she is my friend, so they will create a relationship in their system as friend. So they keep on building that database. What happens over a period of time? They will check all that relationships, and they will understand that these guys are using a lot of bandwidth among themselves. All these college students are talking to each other a lot. There is some business here. What they do, they will put a small counter in front of your college, and they will come up with a plan called some friend plan. So if you take 30 connections, talk time is free, or we give you some discount. So they come up with such things. They enter a lot of information in TCA and build those relationships. They understand the relationships between each of these customers. Accordingly, they plan it. They come up with new plans, new strategies, and all those things. That's what happens in TCA. Now with this AI, it is beyond TCA. For example, AI is implemented everywhere. For example, you have searched for a shoes or a watch on Amazon. One day you searched a lot of watches and you booked one watch. Tomorrow, next day when you open your browser, a small advertisement pops up on your screen of Titan watch or a Timex watch. They will track that. They will know that you have searched for a watch yesterday. So they track that, and they will keep popping up. They will keep pushing all those such kind of ads of your interest on your web browsers. That's what this AI does. AI is such a powerful program. They are implementing in TCA as well. So that's how you find whatever you searched. They will track your interest. Accordingly, they keep showing those advertisements only on your browser. Okay, so that's how these things work. Now, let us come to one of the module. Like we have seen expenses here. So we'll talk about expenses because expenses is a simpler module when compared to other modules. when we talk about assets, payable, receivable, a lot of accounting things come. Expenses is something which is easier to understand for any student. So that's why I picked up expenses. So fusion expenses has become one of the famous module now. These guys, these expenses are tightly integrated with AP. When these expenses come into picture is when an employee or anybody in the organization spends on behalf of organization for something else, then that is an expense. For example, your college management, your principal have decided that there is one conference going on in Delhi, and they have decided to send a couple of people from Kurnool to that conference. So they pick up 2 staff members and 2 students, and they send to the conference to Delhi. So at that point of time, what happens? It's an expense. It's an expense for the organization. They have decided to send them, so it's an expense for them. These guys will not spend from their pocket. They say it's your decision to send us, so give us money. We have to spend because we are doing it for you, not for me. I am not going to visit Agra for my personal trip. I am going for the organization trip, for a business. So at that point of time, these expenses thing come. So what these expenses guys do, they will record those expenses. Before that, what happens? Now, teaching staff, two teachers from the 2 lecturers from the teaching staff and 2 students, they have to travel. They need an advance. So some 10,000 rupees will be given to each one of them. They book the train tickets. They travel to Delhi. They will stay in a hotel. They will have breakfast, lunch, dinner. They travel to the conference place in a taxi. They come back. 2 days they attend the conference. They come back in train. And after all that, what they do? They come and settle that advance. How do they settle that advance? You have given me 10,000 rupees. Now, these are all the hotel expenses. These are all the boarding expenses, and these are all the tax expenses. This is what I have incurred. Based on that, either company pays more because the expenses are little more, with some justification. They will say, I have given you 10,000 rupees, but the hotel was little costly, but it's fine, 2,000 rupees. So I'll pay 2,000 rupees. You might have paid from your pocket or credit card, whatever. So company says, okay, I'll pay you. I have already paid you 10,000. I have given you, and extra 2,000 also I'll pay. So against that expenses, they settle that amount. So that is when this expenses module is useful. Nowadays, this fusion expenses is so powerful that you can book an expense from mobile, from internet, from anywhere. So that's how this has become very powerful. And all the expenses, whoever has implemented the fusion expenses, all the employee expenses, which is not part of the salary, which are not part of the benefits, which are expensed for the organization, which you are spending on behalf of organization, all those things are expensed using fusion expenses. For example, my organization said last month you have to do a certification. I said, okay, I will do it. So I did the certification, I have submitted that receipt, and they reimbursed it. So whatever the certification I have done for that amount, they reimbursed it. So I am not doing certification for myself. At that point of time, organization asked me to do the certification, I did it. So it's an organized expense, not a personal expense. So that's how they reimburse it. In fusion expenses, what happens? Cash advances are handled. Like I told you, each one of those guys who traveled to Delhi were given 10,000 rupees cash advance. Cash advance can be of 2 types. Another type is also there, cash advance, where sometimes now these days they stopped it. A lot of these organizations stopped it. Earlier, what used to happen is that if you need some urgent cash, you can take it from the organization. You can raise a cash advance request, and you can take that amount that will get transferred to your bank account. So the company will charge some interest or something, and they will cut from your salary, and they will recover that cash advance over a period of time. That used to happen. Now, a lot of organizations have stopped it. So such cash advances also can be handled using cash advances. Delegation happens. This happens in all the modules. The same way, delegation authority is also there. Yesterday, I spoke about workflows. So such workflows are implemented in delegation authorities. So you create an expense that goes to your head of the department. He verifies and he will check. He will check whether it is fine, and he will approve it. That goes to the principal. He approves it. Then only that comes back to the accounting department. So that is nothing but a workflow. That is also built in manager delegation, all these things. Delegation is a different word here in the sense that yesterday I gave an example that, leave delegation, like your principal went out of station, your vice principal is in charge, all the leaves will be delegated to Latharani madam so that she approves it. In the same way, the expenses can also be delegated. It can be paid time of delegation, like somebody is on a holiday, so all those your principal is on a holiday, he is out of station, so all those expense reports can be diverted to your vice principal. Manager delegation is, your in your organization there can be many managers, so the organization will decide who will approve the expenses, and accordingly all those things will be delegated. Support for Oracle projects. There is one more module called Oracle projects, where you track the project and the task and how much money that is going out and how much that is money that is coming, and expenses, all those things will be tracked against that project. For example, yesterday I told you that compound wall construction, it's a project. New block construction with classrooms is a project. So in Oracle projects, what we do, we create it that activity as a separate project. Compound wall construction is a separate project. So all the expenses, all the payments, what we do, and all that can be tracked against that project. So in this case, we will create a small project. Let us say conference, some Oracle conference. So against that project, we'll book the expenses. So at any point of time, your management knows why these expenses are incurred. So they will get to know that, okay, for this specific project, this has been incurred. So they can segregate those expenses accordingly. Support for tax. Wherever money is there, tax is there. So you can't avoid it. All the tax rules will apply and tax will be deducted at appropriate time when you pay or receive it. So this tax support is also there in fusion expenses. You have image integration. Image integration is that now your staff has traveled to Delhi. You will not directly pay them. You say that submit the receipts. We have to settle the expense and the advance. You have to submit the receipts. So while creating an expense report, what you do, they attach all the hotel bills, taxi bills, the food bills, all those things. They categorize. They'll create lines for everything day wise. For example, yesterday I had dinner at this place, and this is the receipt. Day for yesterday I had lunch at this place, and this is the receipt. From hotel to conference room, this is the taxi bill, and from conference to hotel, this is the taxi bill. They will upload. These days everybody upload Uber bills and Ola bills and all that. Now a lot of things have come in here. Like sometimes you can implement Google Maps also in this, and you can calculate the distance. You may not sometimes submit the receipt, he will say, okay, your conference is happening here, your hotel is here, what is the distance between that, and they will check the Google map, calculate the distance and pay it. So that's how it is advanced. All these things can be done. So you can upload the images while submitting the expense report. Policies, specific rules will be there, policies will be there. Every organization need not follow the same policy across for all the employees. It could be different. It depends on the hierarchy, it depends on the contractor, employee, worker. There are a lot of combinations. For example, an employee can at most have 500 rupees worth of dinner, not beyond that, or plus 10%. He has a leverage. So 550 rupees at max he can have a dinner in Delhi, not beyond that. So we specify all those rules. So the taxi bill at most he can avail some 500 rupees taxi bill, not beyond that. So we specify all those rules in policies. So expense policies can differ again. Your CFO, your CEO can have the sales team, CFO, CEO, they travel a lot. So their policies are different. An employee who goes occasionally, their policy can be different. A manager, a CFO traveling abroad, all these policies are different. An employee traveling locally, policy is different. So we create a lot of expense policies based on the hierarchy, based on the travel and all those things. We will define those policies. Otherwise, what you do, your staff will check in into a 5-star hotel, they will enjoy 5-star dinner and they come back. It will be huge expense. So they have to control it. So they control it based on the policy and some rules. Audit management. Audit management is a separate feature that is there in Fusion expenses where auditing happens. So at some point of time, all these receipts and all these things will be audited. It's not that you uploaded a receipt and you get paid and that's it. No, at some point of time that gets audited. So audit management happens. For example, most of the receipts at the time they will check. Sometimes they call up the hotel and they will say whether the bill is fine. They do it. They do all kind of audits, organizations. Otherwise, these fake bills and all these things, they check it randomly and they do auditing. Not only that, auditing in terms of how much expenses the organization has incurred in terms of hotels and cars, taxis, and how much amount has been spent on food and all these things are also audited. Based on that, they take some decisions as well. For example, they tie up with some hotels. Okay, so they will say that whenever our guys come to Delhi, they will stay in your hotel. So how much discount you will give? So whenever your college team goes to Delhi, they stay in the same hotel, and he will give you a lot of things free breakfast or whatever. So lot of things happen when a lot of reports are there with run and they take some decisions. Approval management is nothing but expense approvals. Your manager approves, and let us say what happens is that the dinner expense is, the limit is 500 plus 10% is the maximum you can use, so 550 rupees, but the bill is 700 rupees. So when the bill is 700 rupees, the accounting guy, the finance guy say, Madam, your bill is beyond the limit, so sorry, I cannot approve. So what he will do, he will send it to your manager. Your head of the department will say, why did you spend 700 rupees? Your limit is only max 500 rupees and plus 10% is what you can, in some situations. So 550 rupees. So why did you spend 700 rupees? So you will give some explanations, sir. That time, it didn't work out, or I was busy, I had to catch the train, something. And manager says, fine, I understand. So he will approve it. So all that approval things happen in approval management. You have credit card integration. The example which I have given, your staff and students traveling to Delhi and all that are, cash example. But none of these organizations give cash. All these big organizations have give credit cards. So my organization gives, American Express, another organization gives HDFC, another organization gives ICICI credit cards. So across the organizations, the eligible employees who travel will be given cards. So what you do, you swipe the card. You swipe the card and pay it, and at the end of the week, what you do, you create an expense report. So that card entry will come and sit in your expenses screens. The credit card guy, what they do is that entry, he will post it in your ERP, so you can find that credit card entry. So you, against that entries, you create expense report and you submit it. So all the transactions happen only through credit card. If you major expenses, for example, train, flight, hotel, car, all these things happen through credit card. Some petty expenses like you had coffee in Delhi and tea in Delhi or pav bhaji in Delhi, such things still happen through cash expenses, but most of the major things happen through credit card only. Like in a lot of organizations, if you don't have credit card, they don't allow you to travel. Sorry, you get the credit card and then only you can travel. So there is a strict control on this. Mobile expense entry. So you have traveled to Delhi, it's a 10-day trip, and meanwhile you have to submit an expense report. So what you can do, you can pick up your mobile phone and you can enter expense and you can submit it to your manager. So that mobile expense entry is also there. For Fusion apps, you can have a mobile app. You can go to Play Store and you can download a mobile app and you can start using it because laptop may be not be available or available at that point of time. So a lot of sales guys use mobiles. Notifications. Notification is a very normal feature. There is nothing big in this. Whenever you create an expense report, a notification comes to you as well. It goes to your manager, and whenever he approves, it goes to his boss, and it also notifies you that expense report is with your super boss. So at any point of time, you can with these notifications, where these expense reports are lying. So that way this will be helpful. So I don't have a demo instance. Had I got a demo instance, I would have demoed you. But I found a small video wherein you can see how the expense screen is and how you can enter an expense. Let me play it for you. First thing you need to do is you need to enter the purpose. What is the expense report name? An expense report will have line items. For example, the train you took from Kurnool to Delhi is one item. From station to hotel, the taxi is one item. You had dinner that day, so that is one item. So like that, all these have to be entered in the expense report. in detail and you need to attach receipts.
Anand,
Yeah.
Anand, are you sharing any screen?
Didn't I? Sorry, very, very sorry. Give me a minute. Later. Sorry. I'm sharing it. Are you able to see now?
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So this is the Oracle Fusion screen, latest Oracle Fusion screen. So I, he will just demo how to create an expense report. So I'll just play it for you. First thing you need to do is when you create an expense report, you have to tell the purpose. Let us say Delhi conference, something like that. And you have to start entering the line items. Line items could be, like I said, every activity wherever the transaction took place, that activity you have to enter in the expense items. So expense report will have expense items. there is an attachment thing there. That's where you attach your bills. So this is the expense report worth 190 rupees, and it has hotel and it has dinner, 2 items. Once you enter it, you submit it. It kicks off a workflow, and a notification will be sent to your manager, HR of the department, and when he logs in, he will find this expense report on his desktop, on his screen. He will look into it, he will verify it, and he will approve it. When he approves it, it goes to principal. He will get a notification and he will find a expense report like this. When he approves it, it goes to the finance department, and finally that finance person will reimburse the amount, or he will settle it. So all these expense reports are compulsory in any organization. Even when you resign, they will check all this, whether any expense reports are pending against your name and all that. So expense report is something which gives you a first feel of any ERP, and which is easy to understand and easy to learn. That is why I picked up this payables, receivables, general ledger, lot of accounting thing is there. So in whatever time we have, if we start covering all those, it is not enough. That's why I picked up expenses module, where we have different level of audience. It is a better one. I have also listed out a training material which I found it on internet. This is called Fusion Expenses. This is very good. You can go through it, and it shows the screens as well. Each screens, what happens when you enter, how it will be, all that thing with entire explanation. It is there. Oracle Fusion Expenses training module. Okay, these are all chapters. Oracle expenses, items, policies, credit cards, auditing expenses. These are all chapters in Oracle expenses, and these are all the screens. There is one video which you can see, and it gets into deeper. It's a longer video, so I didn't play it. And he has uploaded one beautiful document. So this is the one. He has clearly explained how to enter expense report with the screens, how it works. Okay, so this is a very good thing to start with. If at all you are learning any of the financial modules, learn something which is little simpler. Get a feel of what you have in the module. You run few reports, you enter data, you check these items, how it works and all, then jump onto any of the complex modules. So this is something which is easy to understand, and which gives you a very good start when you start learning Oracle Financials. So that's why I picked up this topic. This is a very, very good document. It explains every part of Oracle expense, with which you can learn the entire module. So that's why I have put that in PPT. When I'll send the PPT to Latarani madam, she will send it to you all. So let us come to question and answers. I think I've got it very fast, crisp, and think I made it. So students will have a lot of questions on Oracle Financials. So let me open up for questions. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
This is Armili from St. Joseph College, Department of Computer Science. Sir, there are questions from our participants.
Okay.
What are the different profile levels available in Oracle apps?
Profile levels. Okay. You mean to say, okay, maybe they meant technical consultant, functional consultant, like that. So functional consultants are the ones who configure the product, who understand the business, and they do the setup. They set up the whole thing as per the business requirements, and they understand the product in detail, the features in detail. They are the ones who sit with the end users. They explain the product features. So functional guys is one role. Functional roles are also there, and technical consultants. So technical consultants work on the application interfaces, the UI. It can be user interface, it can be regular interfaces, it can be conversions, it can be reports, lot of reports, analysis, and all that technical consultants do. And you have project manager levels as well. If you are a project manager, then you will manage the whole thing. You will manage the whole project. So these are the different levels. Earlier we had testers team also. Testing was a separate thing. We had a team for testing all these things. Now slowly the testing team is getting dissolved with this AI and automated stuff. So basically, if you want to get into Oracle apps, you have to be a techno-functional consultant. Earlier, during our time, I could be just a technical consultant or a functional consultant. But with this cloud, what is happening is that it's always better to be a techno-functional consultant. So you should know a lot of functional things, and you should also know the technical things. So ideally, if you are targeting to get into ERP, you target techno-functional. That ends my answer.
Right. Thank you, sir. And the other question is difference between KFF and DFF.
Okay, somebody already know about some Oracle apps. They have put this question.
Right, sir.
Yeah. So this KFF and DFF, let me not explain from the finance perspective. Let me explain from a supply chain manufacturing perspective. It will be easier for the audience to understand. Okay. So let us start with DFF. DFF is an extra information which, if you want to capture in any of the user interface, we use DFF. For example, yesterday I have given an example. You have a student screen, or ERP provides one student screen, but you have entered all the information, but you still feel that you need additional 2 fields which you have to capture. For example, Aadhaar card number, or his rank information, or his percentage or something. You need some 3 additional fields, one for Aadhaar card and one for rank and one for percentage. So you tell the guy who is implementing, the screen is good, looks great, but I need to enter some extra information. So can you provide me 3 additional fields? So what we do, we configure it. We configure it in such a way that 3 fields will be available to you on the user interface. Then you can start capturing whatever information you are intended to capture there. So that is descriptive flex field. So this descriptive flex field can be 1, 2, 3. So it's all default. These ERPs provide some columns. So we configure it. So you can have up to 30 columns. So 30 information, 30 fields of information is available. You can configure it. But we suggest that, you keep it minimum. Just because we have 30, don't enable all the 30 and, do it. So we will, whichever is very important information for you on the student screen, you tell us, we'll enable that. So those 3, we enable it on the user interface. That becomes the descriptive flex field. Next comes the key flex field. There are a lot of key flex fields in the Oracle Labs or SAP, all these things are there. Key flex field is, let us say, you take an example of an inventory. You have a very big inventory. You got into a turbine manufacturer inventory. Turbine is a very huge thing. They have a hell lot of parts, thousands and thousands of parts, and it's very difficult to locate for them. When it is difficult to locate for them, they will have something called locator. So it is called locator flex field. So let me give another example. Honda car you have. Honda car has many spare parts. Okay. So when the guy has to search for a spare part, he has to go around in that interview. That inventory will be such a big thing. Sometimes it runs into kilometers. There are some inventories in big organizations which are too huge, as big as your college. So where that guy will search? So he will have a locator information. That guy is an office boy or an inventory boy. You will go to that information to him. He will say, we will tell him in the application where that in the inventory when we create an item, we will give that locator information. That locator information we will give it to that inventory guy. That guy will go and search for that particular item. So we will say rack 1, bin 2, lane 3, line 1, rack 3, bin 2. I will specify. Okay. So what happens? That guy goes to that. He will see where the line 2 is. Then he will check where the rack 3 is. Then he will see where the bin 2 is, and he finds an item. That's how he gets an item for you. So that is called item locator flex field. So you have understood, right? So key flex field is item locator flex field, accounting flex field, and this stock locator flex field, location flex field. These are all called key flex fields. The DFFs is just an extra information where you just capture and you don't do anything much with that. Whereas key flex field is so important that it is part of your system and that becomes the main thing. For example, entire Oracle Financials is based on accounting flex field. So the accounting flex field can be configured like company, department, division, cost center. With that combination, we will build an accounting flex field, and that will be used across. So the advantage is these accounting flex fields are so important that it will tell you what is an expense. When you run a balance sheet, you will find an expense segment. You find liabilities and all that. So when you run reports based on these segments, you can categorize this. For example, department. If you want to know what is the department expense, you can run reports based on the department segment, and you can understand what are the department expenses and how much money that department has come in and how much money it has gone in. We call it as flex field. Why we call it as flex field? There is a logic behind it. These ERPs are huge, so it can be configured for a aircraft engine maker, or it can be configured for a Honda showroom, or it can be configured to a Airtel guy. To anybody we can configure it. It can be configured to your college as well. So the kind of information that we capture either in key flex field or distributive flex field is dynamic. For example, you need only 3 fields, but the Honda showroom guy need 4 fields. The aircraft engine guy need 5 fields. So I configure it based on the requirements. That is why it is key flex. It is flexible. That is nothing but a key. We call it key because it is an identifier, and that goes and sits in the table as a field value. So that is why it is called key flex field and distributive flex field. Distributive flex field, we call it because we don't make any decisions on that using that DFF, but it is just an extra information that we capture on the screen. Is it clear?
I feel honored to call our Vice Principal, Dr. C.V. Satyanarayana Garu of St. Joseph Degree College, to ask for the elders.
You can go ahead with, I mean, if the
Good
participant
morning,
is
Anand
clear.
Garu.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Anand Garu. I am Dr. C.V. Satyanarayana, working as a Vice Principal at St. Joseph's. So,
Nice to meet you,
and
sir.
yeah, thank you very much, sir. Sir, nice meeting you. I was hearing about you from Lata ma'am. And there's a question from me as a placement officer.
Okay.
Sir, when it comes to the job market, how far Oracle Financials will be able to provide job for my commerce students? Number one. Number two, is there any platform where these students can be trained online uh, at a budget feasible to our say like a place like Karnool? Number three, in case a MBA graduate wants to learn it, so what will be the duration? Once again, what will be the job market? So this I am posting it as a placement officer because
Okay.
Oracle Financials, as I know, it is one of the best competition for SAP, but
Yeah.
still it's not providing as many jobs as SAP is. Is that my maybe the apprehension or maybe the what you call it as understanding? But still, I just wanted to hear from you because you are the specialist in this what you call it as a field. So if you can you just guide me, can you just help me out to figure out a good solution for my students?
Sure, definitely. So, as I told you, there are different streams, technical stream and a functional stream, and you have DBS as well. If it is more technical, you will get into as a DBS. So, these commerce students and MBA students, they fit in functional roles where they understand the business better. They have MBA finance, MBA marketing, or MBA, some inventory, supply chain. They have such subjects, so they fit into the functional roles. For the technical guys who are typically into BSc Computer Science with maths background, physics background, they fit in technical requirements. So they closely work with the technology, SQL, PLSQL, programming languages. Though those people fit into the technical roles. So always accounting guys who knows bit of accounting and bit of industry, they fit into the functional roles. These days with the cloud, what is happening is it's always better to know some technical and some functional. Whether you are into functional or technical, it's better to know some technical. If you are a technical, it's better to know some functional because the demand is like that. And coming to the market, SAP and Oracle are giants. In some countries these guys rule, in some countries they rule. In
Yes.
SAP is a Germany based product, so most of the European companies use SAP, whereas all English countries they use Oracle. So it is a combination. It's not that they are good or these guys are bad. There are like Samsung and Apple. Both are good. I would say, depending on the situations, they get the projects and the opportunities are equal.
Yeah. Okay.
Did I answer your
What about
question?
the training part, sir? What about the training, sir?
Training, yeah. So training, with this COVID, I think there are a lot of trainings that are available on Coursera, Udemy, and all those. So these guys can take those courses, and a lot of online trainings are also happening. If you find it on the internet, there are a lot of guys now. Amirpet, Amirpet, right, in Hyderabad. It's a training ground. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful
Exactly.
place.
It's actually a shortcut to US also.
Yes, it's such a beautiful training place. For 500 rupees, 600 rupees, they give beautiful training.
Exactly.
But now with the COVID, they have also gone online. All the Amirpet institutes are online. So students can learn any module, any stream online. If you can do some research on internet, you can find all them on internet. You can just pay money and start learning it. They are giving demo instances also. They provide if you pay some extra money, they give some demo instances as well. So you can practice on that. So everything is available. With the COVID thing, the availability is more, I would say. Otherwise, Karnal people used to travel, Adani people used to travel to Hyderabad, stay in Amirpet and learn. Now that is not required. You can learn it, and you have a lot of Coursera, Udemy, and all these things. You have beautiful, international video platforms.
Yeah. Sir. Thank you very much, Anand Garu. We'll be in touch with you for any technical help or any other help.
Definitely.
And I think Lata ma'am has your details, sir. I'll just get from her. And thank you very much for being the part of the workshop, sir. Really it was interesting because even I didn't know these things which are part of Oracle Financials. For me, Oracle Financials was only the financial module, and that can do only a couple of things. But I didn't know it has extended its functionality to the different level. So really, it's an informative and a beautiful session. So thank you very much for being a part of the St. Joseph family. So we welcome you into the family also. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Venkat sir. Now I invite the captain of St. Joseph Degree College, Dr. Shanta ma'am, our beloved principal, to give her closing remarks.
Thank you, Lata. Before going to closing remarks, I just wanted to extend the question that is put by our vice principal to the resource person, Sri Anand Prasad Garu. Sir, can I ask the question?
Definitely, madam.
Sir, it is like you said, the commerce people, because they are good at the subject, and even the BBA personnel are also given the basics of finance and marketing. If they are trained with the technical courses with the certificate course, will they be marketable?
Yes. Some of the certifications. Now, this cloud has changed everything, madam. What has happened is earlier there was a thick line between functional and technical. Okay. Now with the cloud thing, what has happened? Lot of things are made easier for the business users in the organization. So these products are evolving in such a way that the business users in the organization, then they can create their own reports, they can create their own documents on Fusion. So always, that's why I said always techno-functional is helpful. For example, the functional person may not understand the deeper things of the technicalities, but he should be able to create reports, for example, quickly create reports. And analytics, he should be able to do analytics, and he should be able to search for some information and workflows. Workflows, for example, earlier only technical consultants used to do these workflows. Now these workflows have become very user friendly. So functional guys are taking up now. They are doing the workflows. They are customizing the workflows in such a way whom this notification should go, and all these things they can also do. So it has become a combination, madam. So even technical guys should learn functional guys should also learn some of the technical things.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And
thank you,
at the outset, I would like to appreciate the efforts put in by the Department of Computer Science in organizing such a workshop, a 3-day workshop on cloud concepts and Oracle Financials, because these two aspects are the need of the hour. One concentrates on the current trends, and while the other fits in aptly because we need the help of technology at every step in our day-to-day life. As our Prime Minister suggests, Atmanirbhar Bharat. This encourages more and more entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurs ought to be definitely equipped with EPRs like this. So I think we have taken, the department has taken a right decision in selecting this particular topic, and also selecting the efficient speakers. The 2 days I have been following, and the announcer, the process has gone very well, and the topic has been dealt with a lot of technical aspects, and the rendering was also such a beauty. It was in such a beautiful way. I thank from my bottom of my heart for your concern and the interest that you have taken in sharing your knowledge and time, sir. Thank you very much for being a part of this workshop. And I, at the in an equal vein, I thank the other resource persons, Sri Satish Garu, also for sparing his valuable time here. And I hope all the participants who have been the part of this workshop these 3 days have got something, some take home. Everybody has got something to take home along with them by participating in this. I'm looking forward to more and more such useful workshops hereafter. Lata madam, it is for you that because it is the need of the hour that we have to make use of the time in a proper way, and I congratulate and appreciate the efforts that are put in by your department in taking up this work so very efficiently, time and again. Thank you very much for organizing and educating the teaching fraternity regarding this two important concepts. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best for your further aspects also. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
madam.
Shanta ma'am. Now I invite my colleague Srijana madam for vote of thanks.
Thank you, Lata ma'am. I am Sai Srijana from St. Joseph's Degree College, Department of Computer Science. Good afternoon, Honorable Resource Persons, Mr. Satish Niwati, Cloud Solution Leader at IBM Corporation in San Ramon, California, USA. And S. Anand Prasad, Oracle Financials Consultant, Hyderabad. Respected Principal and Vice Principal, respected coordinators and HODs, every member of this workshop, and my dear participants. I deem it a great honor to propose a hearty vote of thanks to a great luminary of computer technology. I owe depth of gratitude on behalf of management, principal, and staff for your ready acceptance to share your knowledge and equip our participants with needed knowledge. Really, every participant of this workshop will be benefited by your educative and informative sessions. They for sure remember both of you and cherish your ideas in the days to come. Thank you, sirs. I convey my hearty thanks to our senior principal, Y. Shaurili Reddy ma'am, Principal Dr. K. Shanta ma'am, Vice Principal Dr. C.V. Satyanarayana sir, for permitting to organize such a wonderful workshop. I extend my thanks to S. Lata Rani ma'am, HOD of Computer Science Department, for organizing this 3-day workshop and providing her great support in each and every step to make it successful. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants for their vital role in making this workshop run smoothly and complete on a grand success note. Thank you very much. Over to Lata ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you,
congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Anand, for your
Thank you.
wonderful presentation. I hope all our participants might have enjoyed. I request all the
Thank you once again to the resource persons and to the department for successful completion. Congratulations once again from the management side too, that you have completed the 3-day workshop without any technical clinches and without any hindrances. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shanta ma'am.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Anand, once again for your wonderful session.
Thank you,
I
Lata.
hope all our participants might have enjoyed. I request all the participants to share, to fill the feedback form. We will share feedback form in WhatsApp group also. Thank you all.